I'm gonna rub your belly.
Hello everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic day. So, Man of Steel is a 2013 DC superhero film about, you guessed it, Comet the Super Horse. Superman. The Superman. It's the first installment in the titular DC Extended Universe. I don't know why I said titular. That made no sense. So Man of Steel was directed by Zack Snyder, who, as you know, directed such masterpieces as Batman v Superman, Dawn of Garbage, and probably some others. So what's this movie about? This is actually the 9,000th reboot of Superman, and it once again gives us Superman's origin story that we've never seen. Look, every person knows Superman's backstory. Can we just start skipping over that part? Look at Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies. Do we ever see Uncle Ben's death? No, because Spider-Man is such a gigantic pop culture icon who everyone already knows. You know who's even more iconic than Spider-Man? Jesus. And also Superman. Like, what sad man turned to his friends and asked, wait, who's Superman? And why are you naked? You know, they did the same stuff with Batman and Batman v Superman. But I'll get to that one in time. How did this thing get made? How did we get here? Well, we have to look back to 2008. Now, 2008 was a pretty rough time for movies. You had Madagascar, Escape to Africa, Hancock, maybe some others. I don't know. We didn't even have a movie break $1 billion at the box office. So in June of 2008, strangely close to when the first Iron Man released, Warner Brothers aimed to reanimate the body of Christopher Reeve to do Superman 5, but they found this too difficult, so they decided to reboot the franchise. Again, at this point we had just had Superman Returns a couple years prior. But still, prominent comic book writers pitched their ideas to Warner Brothers, and once upon a time there was genuine interest and passion in this project. This was originally set to be a much grander project than it ended up being. Mark Millar, teaming up with proposed director Matthew Vaughn, had planned an 8-hour Superman trilogy, with each film releasing a year apart, similar to the Lord of the Rings movies. Millar even compared this story to the Godfather trilogy. It would have chronicled the entire life of Superman, from his wee days on Krypton to his final moments before dying. They wanted to create the ultimate, definitive Superman saga. They wanted to set the archetype for all superhero movies to come. It was set to be released in either 2010, 2011, but yeah, that didn't happen. And this trilogy never happened. So fast forward to 2009, and little progress had been made on this grandiose Superman project. To make matters worse for Warner Brothers, a court ruling allowed Jerry Siegel's family to recapture 50% of the rights to Superman's origins. If Warner Brothers did not begin production on a Superman film by 2011, then the Siegel estate would be able to sue for loss of expected revenue on an unproduced film. So a judge ruled that if they did not begin production soon, that they would owe Siegel, anyway, they would owe Siegel's estate a whole heap of money. I'm not good at words. Anyway, so executives got together and said, well, heck, we gotta make a Superman movie as fast as possible, because that's always a wonderful recipe for a great movie. So whatever ideas they had for this Superman project, they had to kick this thing into warp drive. When discussing ideas for the then unreleased The Dark Knight Rises, Christopher Nolan pitched his own ideas to the studio, and was eventually hired to produce the next Superman film, with David S. Goyer set to write based on the financial success of The Dark Knight. So Nolan's approach to Superman was similar to his approach to Batman, in that Batman is the only superhero in those movies. It would have been more or less a self-contained Superman origin story where other DC heroes did not exist. However, Warner Brothers spoke with Entertainment Weekly and hinted that their plans included for the film to contain references to other superheroes, similar to what Marvel had been doing at the time with their Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now bear in mind that we still didn't have a director at this point, and nothing was set in concrete. There was a lot of proposed directors. There was Guillermo del Toro was approached to direct this at one point. That would have been interesting. But he turned down because of his commitment to At the Mountains of Madness. Ben Affleck, Darren Aronofsky, Duncan Jones, Jonathan Lieberman, Matt Reeves, Tony Scott, they were all considered as potential directors. But finally, the infinitely talented Zack Snyder was hired in October of 2010, with casting beginning shortly thereafter. Snyder confirmed that other DC heroes exist in this universe, and filming began just months later in August of 2011. This was shaping up to be an entirely different project than what they originally planned, which is a shame, really. This wouldn't be the first installment in a new epic trilogy on the scale of The Lord of the Rings. This was set to be a rushed, one-and-done Superman origin story. Written and directed by Cash Money. They weren't really selling a movie here, they were selling a big name, and few names are bigger than old Soupies. Zack Snyder was such an odd pick for this, in my opinion. I guess they hired him because he worked on the popular Watchmen film, but wasn't the whole point of that to deconstruct the superhero genre and go against what was expected? I'm not sure something like that works for something like Superman. This movie tries very, very hard to be grounded. It's the dark, gritty reboot that executives think people want. I think my biggest problem with Man of Steel is that it's largely just not fun. It's not. There's no humor, no charm. Everyone is completely serious at all times. Also, a lot of people die in this, and Superman himself does some of the killing. The climax of this movie is basically Space 9/11, where a whole city is absolutely obliterated. I thought Superman was smart enough to take the fight away from populated areas. Even a complete buffoon like Goku had this figured out. They changed this in the next movie. They make darn sure whatever area they're fighting in is uninhabited. There's nothing inherently wrong with being dark and gritty. I mean, just look at Logan. That movie is as dark and or gritty as they come, but it's still an excellent film. I respect that Man of Steel went for something different than what Marvel was doing at the time, but the finished product is something very, very, very not fun. Let's talk about themes briefly, because this movie's got them. The allegory to Christianity throughout the movie is pretty heavy-handed in my opinion. Warner Brothers even set up a website, www.manofsteelresources.com, which contained a 9-page pamphlet entitled Jesus, the Original Superhero. This was even low-key marketed as a Christian film. Critics have pointed out that Kal-El's struggle is similar to the Passion of the Christ. Superman is more than willing to sacrifice himself for the people of Earth. He's all too ready to turn himself over to General Zod to save humanity from annihilation. An allegory to the Trinity has also been pointed out by some. Jor-El, Superman's father, returns to Kal-El on Earth as a ghost, guiding his son on his journey to salvation. The connections don't end there, but honestly it's not that interesting to me. Maybe the ties to Christianity are what they were going for, or maybe losers on the internet are simply finding things that aren't there. With the exception of Michael Shannon and possibly Amy Adams, none of the actors seem like they want to be in this. I mean, Henry Cavill as Superman isn't bad. His performance is in this neutral zone of not being very good, but not being bad. Honestly, it would have been more entertaining if it was just bad. Maybe someday they'll go through that Nicolas Cage Superman movie. Anyway, Man of Steel, I don't even know what Superman's personality is, really. He's just kind of a plank of wood. I feel like I'm just watching Henry Cavill wonder why he's there. The acting overall is pretty ho-hum across the board. Except for General Zod. Michael Shannon is trying so hard, and I love his performance. He's great in this. It's as though he's deluded himself into thinking he's in a better movie. How sad. Also, Amy Adams has wanted to play Lois Lane since roughly the dawn of time. And I guess she finally got her wish, though, like with most wishes it comes with an ironic catch. That catch being that this movie isn't very good. Oops. I haven't really talked much about the story because honestly, I don't know what it is. I don't especially care for any of these characters or what they're doing. Superman's people come to take over the Earth and Superman has to stop them. That's basically it. And it takes way too long for anything to happen. Most of this Superman movie is just people talking at each other. And oh my god, I don't care about Lois Lane talking to her boss. I don't know why I make this voice. She has absolutely nothing to do in these movies. She's just there because she's Lois Lane. I don't have anything against her character, it's just the writers didn't give her anything important to do. Alright, it's rapid fire fun fact time. Henry Cavill said the most difficult part of making this movie was his 2 shirtless scenes. This man starved himself for 6 weeks trying to bring his body fat level down to 7%. I mean, heck, 7% is my body muscle level. I'll give the movie this. Henry Cavill's physique is truly one fitting of the Superman character. As a reward for his 2 shirtless scenes, Zack Snyder apparently gave Cavill a tub of ice cream and pizza and rubbed his ball sack. I've been told that last part isn't true, but whatevs. That's a good little show pony. Man of Steel released in June 2013 on the 75th anniversary of Superman. That's pretty neat. Henry Cavill refused to shave his chest for this movie. That filthy animal. When Clark is first learning to fly in this movie, he's only able to make gigantic bounds. Actually, in the first Superman comics in the late 1930s, he wasn't actually able to fly, but can only make giant leaps, like some kind of nuclear kangaroo. That was a weird comparison. When the first Superman cartoons and movies started coming out, they decided that this looked undignified and gave him the ability to fly, which I guess looks more majestic, even though physics gives no logical reason for him to have this ability. So Gal Gadot was originally cast as Feora, but had to drop out due to her pregnancy, and Aunt J. Trowell, I am definitely not saying that right, was cast in her place. Gadot would later be chosen to play Will Smith in Suicide Squad, or something like that. I don't know. If you plan to watch this movie for some reason, just skip an hour and 45 minutes in. Yes, this movie is very long. That's roundabout when the big dumb Dragon Ball Z battle begins, and it's epic, but probably not worth the wait. This battle is apocalyptic, and the effects are pretty darn amazing. Say what you will about Man of Steel, but the CGI is impressive, and the fights are really good. The big fight between General Zod and Superman might have been more impactful if I cared more about these characters. I felt sadder for all the unnamed background guys who died. At least the score from Hans Zimmer was pretty nice. Also, this is one of those movies that uses the giant skybeam cliche. Yep. It's there. And lastly, though the CGI is good, the movie doesn't look very good overall. I mean, the colors are so muted and washed out. It barely resembles the vivid comic books these characters came from. Man of Steel is an underwhelming movie about underdeveloped characters in a world largely devoid of the joy that should come with a movie about Superman. I don't hate it, I just find it frustratingly average. It did some good things, some bad things, but overall I think it failed to live up to what it could have been. I like it, but I don't adore it. And so my final rating for Man of Steel is a 6 out of 10. Pretty okay. So zippity, let me know what you all think in the comments department below. And I love you.